Okay, no
Oh.
kidding. Jerry gave us.
I'd like to call a special meeting of October the 23rd to order. If everyone would please rise for our Pledge of Allegiance to our nation's flag. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Okay.
Would the clerk please conduct a roll call?
Heidi,
Here.
Blinker,
Here.
Nargi,
Here.
Reynolds,
Here.
Brown,
Here.
Allersmeyer.
Here.
Williamson.
Here.
Downing.
Here.
Campbell.
I hear.
Quorum present.
Ordinances for second reading. If the clerk would please read ordinance 2019-27.
The 2020 GLPTC budget and ordinance appropriating money for the Greater Lafayette Public Transportation Corporation is required pursuant to Indiana Code 6-1.1-17-20.
Mr. Heidi?
I move to hear ordinance number 2019-27.
Mr. Clinker?
Second.
Any discussion about that particular ordinance? Members of the audience wish to address it.
Are you gonna?
There being none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-27?
Heidi,
Aye.
Blinker.
Aye.
Nargi.
Aye.
Reynolds,
Aye.
Brown,
Aye.
Allersmeyer.
Aye.
Williamson.
Aye.
Downing.
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2019-28.
The 2020 budget ordinance and ordinance appropriating money for the purpose of defraying the expenses of several departments of the city government of the city of Lafayette, Indiana, for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2020 through ending December 31st, 2020, including the outstanding claims and obligations and fixing a time when the same shall take effect.
I would entertain a motion to hear this for its second reading.
I move we hear ordinance 2019-28.
I second.
Second. And do you want to amend that?
You want Mr. Clary to talk first?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, evening, Mr. President, and ladies and gentlemen of the council. I'm here this evening to discuss the amended budget for the 2020 City of Lafayette budget. A few highlights and a few items of interest that I'd like to discuss tonight. Over $5 million was cut from the original advertised city budget. The largest cuts affected the general fund and the park and recreation fund. The cuts were a result of the slim 1% increase in our health insurance rates for 2020 and reductions in capital infrastructure spending requests. Even after the cuts of $2.7 million for the general fund and $2.1 for the parks, the general fund will see an increase of 3.5% over the 2019 budget and a 3.29% increase in the park and recreation budget. Of the 7 property tax supported funds, 5 of the 7 will see an increase. The 2 that did not have an increase are the band fund, which stays consistent at $25,000, seems to be an adequate amount for them to operate and do their thing, and the park bond fund, which is property tax supported, and that budget is set based on the principal and interest that's to be paid out for the outstanding debt. So that's all a small increase. The increase in budget funding for 2020 will provide a 3% increase in salary and wages for our civilian employees and a 3.2% increase in our sworn officers of the Lafayette Police Department and the Lafayette Fire Department. The increase in salary and wages is a commitment and a reward to our highly valued employees. Also, for the city to attract and retain employees in this highly competitive job market, we feel an emphasis focused on salaries is warranted. The 2020 budget overall is $69,832,744, a 4.49% increase over the 2019 budget. We feel the budget before you is reasonable, affordable, and sustainable. I want to thank the Controller's Office personnel, Clerk Cindy Murray and her staff, City Department heads, and Mayor Tony Rozorsky. The city budget is truly a group effort. I entertain any questions at this time. Thank you.
Any questions of this gentleman? The band fund's not getting any money?
They are not getting an increase, sir.
They're getting 25,000.
25,000, no increase.
No.
Thank you.
My predecessor, Mr. Jones, was very emphatic and happy when we finally got 25,000 for the band. So we're going to keep it there for a year, and we'll seek an
Great.
increase for 2021.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions? Members of the audience? There being none, would the clerk conduct a roll call vote? You want to amend it
Yeah,
first?
let's amend it.
Okay. There will be an amendment. Mr. Downing,
So moved.
second. Will you read the
Aye.
amendment?
We'll just go ahead and can we just go ahead and do a roll call vote on the amended ordinance with the exhibit? Okay.
We'll have a roll call vote on the amendment this time.
Okay. Mr. Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Amended ordinance passes 8-0.
The amended ordinance passes by 8-0.
Good job.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Very good. Moving on. 2020 now.
Ordinance 2019-29.
An ordinance fixing the salaries of the appointed officers and employees of the City of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2020, excluding the sworn protective occupation and law enforcement members of the police and fire departments.
What is the pleasure, Mrs. Altmeyer?
Mr. President, I move we hear and approve ordinance 2019-29.
Mr. Brown?
Second.
Any discussion? Yes, Mayor?
Just quickly, Mr. Campbell, for the record, as you know, as the controller said, we're going to give a 3% raise to all civilian employees, elected officials, and 3.2% raise to our law enforcement and firefighters, as those ordinances will be coming up. I'm going to do them all at once. If you want me to stand up each time, I will, but those are the level raises for those three separate ordinances, for the record.
Any questions of the mayor? Thank you, Mayor. Any members of the audience wish to make a comment? There being none, would the clerk conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-29?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2019-30.
An ordinance fixing the salaries of the sworn protective occupation and law enforcement members of the police and fire departments of the City of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2020.
Mr. Clinker?
I move we hear 2019-30.
Mr. Heidi?
Second.
Second. Any discussion by members of the Common Council? There being none, any members of the audience wish to address this ordinance? There being none, would the clerk then please conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-30?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 8-0.
Thank you. Ordinance 2019-31.
An ordinance fixing the salaries of the elected officials of the City of Lafayette, Indiana for the year 2020.
Yes, sir.
Oh, pardon me. Mr. President, I'd like to hear and approve ordinance 2019-31.
I second it.
Okay.
Any discussion by members of the Common Council? Members of the audience wish to address this ordinance? There being none, would the clerk please conduct a roll call vote on ordinance 2019-31?
Heidi?
Aye.
Clinker?
Aye.
Nargi?
Aye.
Reynolds?
Aye.
Brown?
No.
Allersmeyer?
Aye.
Williamson?
Aye.
Downing?
Aye.
Ordinance passes 7-1.
Thank you.
Mr. Campbell, may I say something? May I?
Sure.
I just wanted to ask all of you not to leave right away because we have two forms that we need you to sign, and I thank you all for signing your nepotism. Thanks, Kevin. And so just don't skedaddle too quickly. So I know we're going to adjourn shortly, but I just want to make sure I got all your signatures before you left. Mr. Clary especially wants those.
That all?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I got.
Mr. Heidi?
I move to adjourn. Is there
Public
public comment?
Yeah, public comment.
It's listed.
Ready?
Yeah, Mr. President, I'd just like to thank the Controller's Office and for the way they printed this up, a large print.
Well done.
Very simple.
I
Appreciate
didn't need
it.
my
Thank you.
cheaters.
Have you ever been thanked for that before?
Optic challenge.
Have you ever been thanked for that before? A large print? Stick around this
second.
crowd, you might get more of them. Is there any public comment? There being none, Mr. Heidi.
I move to adjourn again. Second.
Clinker. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, the same sign. Thank you very much.